Why old money avoids hustle culture entirely isn't because they're lazy. It's because they understand something most people never will. Hustle culture teaches you to run faster. Old money teaches you to choose the terrain. From the very beginning, hustle culture sells a story. Work harder, sleep less. Grind now so you can relax later. But old money looks at that equation and immediately sees the flaw. Effort does not scale. Position does. If your wealth depends on your energy, your time, or your constant attention, then you don't own wealth. Wealth owns you. Old money learned this centuries ago. They watched merchants burn out. They watched craftsmen peak and decline. They watched entire fortunes disappear the moment the individual at the center stopped working. So they built systems where work was optional. Here's the part that feels uncomfortable. Old money doesn't admire grind. They see it as a warning sign. When someone is always busy, always chasing, always optimizing, it signals instability. It means the structure underneath them isn't strong enough to hold weight without constant reinforcement. Hustle culture glorifies motion. Old money glorifies permanence. That's why the language is different. Hustle culture talks about income streams. Old money talks about ownership. Hustle culture celebrates multiple side hustles. Old money consolidates control. Hustle culture wants fast proof. Old money is comfortable waiting decades because the goal was never freedom next year. The goal was relevance in the next generation. Old money understands a brutal truth. The fastest way to lose power is to depend on momentum. Momentum eventually stops. Markets change, industries collapse, bodies age, attention fades. If your entire financial identity is built around constant output, you are fragile by design. So instead, old money builds quiet leverage. They buy things that keep working when they don't. They invest in assets that compound slowly but predictably. They accept lower short-term returns in exchange for permanence, not because they lack ambition, but because they think in centuries, not quarters. This is where hustle culture gets dangerous. It convinces people that exhaustion is noble, that stress is a badge of honor, that if you're not tired, you're not serious. Old money hears that and asks a different question. Why would I build a life that collapses the moment I stop pushing? They don't chase opportunity. They position themselves so opportunity has to come to them. That's why their lives look calm, even boring, from the outside. No urgency, no constant pivoting, no dramatic reinvention arcs, just steady ownership quietly expanding. Here's another uncomfortable reality. Hustle culture is often a phase for people without leverage. Old money skip that phase entirely. They start with capital, connections, and time. But more importantly, they start with patience. Patience is the real inheritance. When you don't need immediate results, you can make better decisions. When you're not desperate for cash flow, you can say no. When you're not measuring success weekly, you can build something that actually lasts. Hustle culture thrives on visibility. Old money thrives on opacity. They don't announce moves, they don't explain strategies, they don't document the process. By the time something becomes visible, the position is already locked in. That's why so many people misunderstand them. They assume old money got lucky, or that they're out of touch, or that they don't work hard. In reality, the work was just front-loaded generations ago. The systems were built once and defended forever. Hustle culture wants to escape the rat race. Old money simply never enters it. They don't optimize for maximum income, they optimize for minimum dependency. Dependency on markets, dependency on employers, dependency on trends, dependency on their own labor. The ultimate flex isn't grinding harder, it's not needing to. And here's the final truth most people aren't ready for. Hustle culture is loud because it has to be. Old money is quiet because it doesn't need permission. When your wealth is rooted in ownership, structure, and time, urgency disappears. And when urgency disappears, clarity takes over. That's why old money avoids hustle culture entirely. Not because they can't hustle, but because they already won the game. Hustle culture is still trying to escape. Once you understand the pattern behind wealth, the noise becomes irrelevant. If that way of thinking appeals to you, consider subscribing. Until next time.